Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BB-Scho. I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my co-host, Chen. We're here to talk about Week 6, preview Week 7, have a couple of end-of-the-season predictions, and, of course, as always, our new staple, buy, sell, hold, which we'll have some good discussion about today, some review of our positions, and just kind of, we're starting to expand on that. But before we dive in, after a great week of football in Week 6, before we talk about it, talk about the big marquee games, marquee matchups, things we learned. Chen, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. Money on the mind. Business is booming. But no, in terms of like football wise, like we've been getting some great weeks of football. I got to be honest. Like I've really been looking forward to as we go out throughout a Monday. And I mean, it's Monday. Nobody enjoys Mondays. It's the start of the week. You want to be on the weekend. But I find myself like getting through the day, it's like, oh man, like that happened yesterday, and so on and so on. And we still got Monday Night Football with the Cowboys, who always make it entertaining, whether in a bad way or good. So no, I'm ready to dive right into it because there was some stuff. I mean, I texted you about it earlier, but it's like if you sent me essentially the prime like headlines of this week to us like 10 years ago, I would be dumbfounded. I'd be like, what alternate reality is this? But this is 2023 on Earth. I mean, we're in the present time here. And I mean, what do you want to kick off with? Because we got a couple like big ones.
Let's kick off with let's start with the two unbeaten teams. A little toast to the 72 Dolphins every
Used to
year, right?
be, yeah.
Yeah, a little toast. I saw it on Twitter, the old the Great Gatsby meme with Leo DiCaprio with his hand up, a toast to the 72 Dolphins because it happens every year, right?
For a year.
We'll start with the Browns getting the job done with PJ Watson, or not PJ Watson, PJ Walker. Sorry, PJ Walker. I just didn't expect this man. Shout out Jake. He's not here. He sent in his picks. He had the Browns winning this game. Truly an immaculate prediction there. But what are your thoughts, man? This was just a shocker to me. I know it was in Cleveland, but still.
I would have to say the Jake Moody kick, he could have made. But the biggest issue, like, as a 49ers fan, I'm not upset really about this loss. You knew one of them was going to come eventually. Better to get it out of the way now than, say, the Steelers a couple of years ago when they went 14-0 and then just fell apart. I'm more concerned about if Debo is out long term, if McCaffrey is out long term. I'm not like worried about really Brock Purdy in the offense per se, but it's something to watch because if they get into the playoffs and those two guys aren't healthy, they're not a top of the NFC. I mean, the reason we have them there is because they have that big three trio. You got McCaffrey, Debo, and Kittle, and then Brock Purdy's been able to man the ship. You got that great O-line. If you're down Debo and CMC, I'm not saying they're still not continue to win games. They still might get a 1 or 2 seed. I just think getting past Philly without kind of your top two guys on offense, in my mind, yeah, that's a tough challenge. And really, for the loss itself, I said it was a good one, but it's really a good one when you look at how Cleveland has been playing, especially defensively. This might be a team that, as scary as their defense is, might continue to get better as a defense, which is nuts. But talent-wise, they got all three levels covered. I mean, D-line, linebackers, your secondaries just maxed out. What was your opinion, though? I know a lot of people are coming at Brock Purdy. I'm going to kind of come off of that a bit because, I mean, he's been great for the rest of the year.
I don't really understand why Brock Purdy's catching any flack. I haven't seen much of it, but because honestly, my takeaway from this game was this was one of the first times we actually learned something about Brock Purdy. Like, we've had so many. This is first regular season loss of his career, but it's the first time we've seen him without a star-studded cast around him. And he did everything he could to get his team in position to win the game. He makes a great drive, goes down, gets a very makeable field goal, and it just happens to be missed. He's out Debo. He's out his running back. and he's still making it happen. Through his first interception of the year, it's week 6. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
Through his first interception of the year, and look, he's never gonna be, a 2011 Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning, where he's going to throw 5,000 yards, 55 touchdowns, and you're going to be like, oh my God, who is this guy? But what he is going to be is he's going to be essentially an upgraded version of, Taylor Heineke, or he's of the Tom Brady, like the early years of Tom Brady-esque, where he's got a star-studded cast around him, and then he elevates everybody around him as well. And just the way I see his career playing out right now, I mean, they're going to have a cap situation eventually when he's, his deal's up. But the way they've constructed this roster, he's going to win a lot of games, and he's going to learn how to win. And that is something that is just severely underrated in the NFL. Does Tom Brady become Tom Brady if he's not exactly where he was in that situation with Drew Bledsoe going down? Like, no, he probably never sees the field, or if he does, he's not great because he didn't have one of the best defenses in the league and a great system and OC and whatnot. So
very true.
This was our chance to finally learn like what Brock Purdy may look like without, every superstar on every corner.
Yeah, and, first team on offense.
And I was impressed. Like he did everything he could to win the game. He didn't throw the game away. He didn't look bad under pressure. He looked very poised, and that's because he's been in these games and won these games previously with that cast around him. So if anything, I'm encouraged about Purdy after this, and my purchase of Purdy stock last week. Look, I think that price is up right now. I would make that debate even after a loss like this. And my further takeaway is this: is the Browns, dude, they might have the best defense in the league right now. I cannot think of a better defense. You can, go fantasy
personnel wise, yeah.
Steelers maybe, and I mentioned this preseason, but I don't think I meant it like I said it like strongly enough. Like, like I said, like their defense is going to be good this year. I really like what they built. They're like teams will no longer be able to, triple team Myles Garrett and stop their defense. Like they really did put an emphasis on them in the offseason. We're seeing dividends. Browns Twitter. I don't know how I ended up there, but I am a part of Browns Twitter as an outside observer. I don't know how I got there, but
it was your player of the year picks, bro. You took Chubb and Myles Garrett.
Maybe that's what it is. But,
welcome to the club.
But Browns Twitter will have you believe that this organization is horrible, and that Deshaun Watson is the worst thing since sliced bread. And they're a better team with him on the field than they were with PJ Walker offensively. Offensively, at least. I mean, would you like me to read you PJ Walker's numbers?
Oh, I know them, but it's not like Deshaun Watson was lighting the world on fire.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying
that. But Browns Twitter will have you believe, and Browns fans rightfully are kind of ticked at this guy for being cleared and not playing, and etc.
Oh, yeah.
Which that's a whole different dialogue. I'm just going to simply leave it at the fact that they need him on the field to elevate their offense because they're not going to win a lot of games 19-17. I'm just going to be honest there. Like the only reason they won this game is because of 2 injuries to one of the better offenses in the league. So you're paying the guy all that money. You need him on the field. Like even if he's not who you're paying him to be, you give him a chance to be, and then make that decision in the offseason. But right now, he's a better option than PJ Walker. And no, they should not trade for Jacoby Brissett.
Or just run with Dorian Thompson Robinson.
No, that was horrible. PJ Walker, man. Shout out PJ Walker. Like what a story.
Into that Brian Hoyer role of the Chase Daniels, the clipboard moneymakers, if you will. But no, we can keep moving. I get tough for the Niners, but shout out to the Browns, man. That playoff spot, they might get one.
Well, Jake's got that stock in Browns winning the NFC North. Looking pretty solid purchase right now. Looking like a pretty solid purchase. Let's talk AFC. Oh no, we said we're going to do the winless teams the win teams first. We can talk Eagles Jets here. This was a game I actually didn't catch the end of until I saw the score and went back and watched it because I had assumed it was over and just turned it off. This was more shocking to me than the Browns 49ers thing because nobody got hurt on the Eagles. There was no panic. They just got beat, man.
Yeah. It happens.
What are your takeaways from Philly. I think they've played mediocre football all year, and it finally caught up.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are gonna love to jump all over this. Probably Philly fans themselves. And my really only rebuttal to it is the Eagles in their last 25 games are 23-2 with Jalen Hurts at the helm. He has a bad game. All right, like it happens. Like this is not anything out of the ordinary. The Jets have proven to be a very good defensive team, especially under Robert Saleh. Like, and they just did this to the Chiefs. I mean, last week we were close to having this conversation with the Chiefs. I mean, we could really even pick that up a little bit more. Their offense hasn't been what it's used to be, but I just am not. It's like I said with the Niners, better to get this loss out of the way to a good defensive team. And hey, kudos to Zach Wilson, man. I know he's not, again, lighting the world on fire, as we like to call it, but he's not making like he's not doing bad. It's better than where we were at. He's up, he's like from the bottom to like a little bit above it. Like we're getting the water.
They've won 2 straight and lost by 3 to the Chiefs before that.
Yeah. Gotta tell you,
and they got the Giants next week, man.
So I mean, yeah, battle the New York teams. It's always gonna be interesting.
No, Jets are on bye this week. Then they got the Giants. So 2 weeks till that.
Oh, but, okay.
Yeah, I don't have any really big takeaways for the Eagles here. Like I not much to say. Like
I'm not gonna. Yeah,
I'm not concerned.
Anything, they're gonna win like 40-0 next week.
Some may ask if my arm is raised for the panic button. I just would like to say that the panic button. We're on a road trip to New York. I left the Eagles panic button back in Philly. Like it didn't even make the road trip with me. Like I'm not even thinking about it. I got my security guards gave me a call, wanted to know if I wanted to press it. I hung up on them when I saw them call me. I didn't even pick it up. Like it's as for the Jets, you know what my biggest takeaway is? It's kind of sad. This team would have been really freaking good with Aaron Rodgers.
Probably undefeated. If we're being honest, this is an undefeated football team right now with Aaron Rodgers.
That's extreme. There's a lot of variables you just don't.
Because Aaron's given you 2 touchdowns and like 250 yards a game, like realistically. Maybe you throw a pick in there. Zach Wilson can't even manage that. Even like the bare bones version of Rodgers, they're winning some of these close ones. In my opinion.
I mean, he might lift them over the Chiefs, but I don't know.
Not the Cowboys. Man.
Yeah. The whole team was brutal that game. I think that I wouldn't say they're undefeated, but they're definitely a lot better team. The whole script goes differently for their season.
Oh, for sure.
But this is kind of what they did last year, like with Zach Wilson. Like we're forgetting that they were really good with him, and we're winning these kind of games. And we were like, wow, if they could just get a quarterback, they'll be insane. And then they give them like 2 or 3 weeks to figure out, change their entire season's offensive game plans. Like, they came out, they were slow. They somehow won against the Bills. But then they were slow to start with Zach Wilson. He looked bad. And now he's starting to get a rhythm. He's taking care of the football. And he looks better. He's not turning the ball over. He's not making really stupid decisions. He's managing the game. And they're winning these low-scoring battles, relying on their defense, which is what they did last year and what they need to do consistently. So no further comments, Your Honor, when it comes to the Jets playoffs. I don't know. I truly don't. Are they going to outgun another? Are they going to be the second team in the AFC East? No, they're not going to be higher than the Bills or the Dolphins. Like they're going to get the Bills again. They're going to get wiped, in my opinion. The Dolphins are going to probably embarrass them as well. They'll definitely beat the Patriots, and we'll get to that. But the Jets, can they beat out the Chargers or somebody else? The Ravens, Bengals, one of those other Browns, one of those other teams vying for an AFC wildcard spot? I don't know. Yeah. The Bengals got another win this week, and it was huge. Defense came up big. Not on our talk show. We talk about them enough, but on our script. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like I don't know. Then there's the there's the rumors of Rodgers potentially making a comeback before the season's over, and he was like out walking before the game and throwing without crutches. And somebody was like, "It's been 30 days since this dude tore his Achilles. What's going on?"
Yeah, it is
It's just,
pretty incredible.
it's insane. It's insane.
And it's possible at this rate. That just mobility wise, I don't think he'd still be 100%.
No,
I think he would still. It might risk more injury if he comes back too early. But I get it. If they're like playoff, like chomping at the bit,
they're
that
close. I get it, but I don't know if a guy who hasn't played all year is going to push them over the edge in the biggest game of the year if that's his first start. Like,
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. Like I actually immediately when Rodgers broke his collarbone, I believe in week 9 against the Bears. Gosh, he's like 6 years ago or so. It
I
was a
know.
year we didn't make the playoffs, I don't think, because we lost to the Panthers in a game where we brought him back early, and I think he threw 3 picks. Like it was one of his bad games of his career, and so I'm actually kind of in that boat with you. Like if they bring him back too early, it's what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
I
What are you
agree.
gonna do?
I agree. But let's move on. Jaguars, they've rolled. They won 3 straight back-to-back wins in London. They beat the Bills. I believe the Falcons were the other week they won.
Yep,
Then
Toy Story game.
get their rematch against the Colts. And then it's embarrassing. 37-20. I don't even think it was that close. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Minch didn't really cook. um,
Did you actually end up purchasing stock in Minshew Mania? Did that
I don't
happen?
know if I did. If
Oh,
I
it
did, I
did.
did.
You did.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I know people probably aren't going to hop on it right now, but I was really thinking revenge game for him. And 3 interceptions, kind of the opposite of that, kind of helped them win. But the Jags are really hitting their stride, I think is the best way to put it. Kind of a rocky start. Now they're really kind of coming to that zone of, okay, this is like Super Bowl contender team. I don't really think that's a stretch. I mean, we saw what they did last year. We're seeing what Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence as a duo is going to do. Like, it's if Calvin Ridley can establish himself as that firm, like wide receiver one, can just beat man coverage.
That's
Trevor
the thing
Lawrence
is
is good
that's
enough
what
to.
he's not doing. It's very like spread between him and Kirk right now. And I
And
had
I gotta give
anticipated.
Kirk his flowers too. Yeah, like if they, I think they can continue to play off each other, but that's a fair assessment. It's definitely a fair take.
I don't know what was dominant to me about the Jaguars in this game was their defense. Number one, turning the ball over every other play against. I still think Gardner Minshew is a formidable backup. Like he's one of the best.
Absolutely.
And the run game, I know, look at the stats. ETN only has 55 yards, but he ran the ball 20 times, almost 2 touchdowns, popped some big ones. I really think that Travis Etienne is the key to their offense for them, and sometimes I feel like they don't utilize it. Like they drop back, they rely too much on Trevor, which is a solid game plan as well. But Etienne he's a dynamic weapon that I don't think a lot of teams have. He's a great receiver, he's a great running back, and I think he needs the ball 25 times a game, like every game, run or pass, get it to him, 25 touches, and that's what was dominant to me, and just they just were dominant on all fronts. Like it was never close. It was never like just an impressive win. My concern, honestly, is the same as you. Is Ridley needs to find a way to establish himself as numero uno, and
Yeah,
week in and week out, he's got I think 200-yard games, and the rest are kind of duds. So it's like one of those things where it's like he's there, and then it's like the Colts are not this excellent defense. He should be 5 for 80 or not 4 for 30. Like he's not, you know what I'm saying? Like he's getting his
that's
targets
fair.
every
Yeah.
game, and they're just not there. So,
Oh yeah, no, I can't push
uh,
back on that.
your thoughts on the Colts? I know you've got stock in Anthony Richardson right now. You've talked a lot. You're pretty high on the Colts at some points. Um, what are your thoughts, especially with the rumors of Anthony Richardson considering season-ending shoulder surgery?
That would probably be for the best. That would definitely turn into a long term. I mean, it's kind of been a long term stock for Anthony Richardson coming into the league. He was kind of like the project quarterback, but personally has looked more ready to play than I initially thought. And as much as I love Gardner Minshew, you kind of saw it on Sunday. He's not really the fit for this offense. It's very ground and pound heavy, and having your quarterback being able to run is a huge staple of the Shane Steichen offense. I mean, we saw it in Philly. They would run Jalen Hurts 15, 20 times a game. And Anthony Richardson is definitely capable of that. Gardner Minshew is not. He's just not the type of quarterback he is. He's more that Brock Purdy game manager, like will not make a mistake. So seeing 3 interceptions is very alarming, especially against a former team. I get there's probably a new coaching staff in there, but I'm not for the rest of the year for the Colts. I'm not too high on them anymore. I was really liking what I saw with the Anthony Richardson led offense, but this is going to be more, I think, the Colts team we saw last year. Personally, the defense might be a bit better, but offensively, it's like trotting out the same group, just a more conservative quarterback.
So, I mean, obviously, you're going to throw anybody who throws the ball 55 times a game and doesn't throw at least 1 interception. That's like a masterclass A+ grade performance. Like it's just mathematical. Like throwing it that many times. And I know that game script is a part of it, and they were down the whole game. But this is now back-to-back weeks. We've seen basically 50-50 usage. Even last week, I think, was 65-35 in Zach Moss's favor.
Yeah.
After, and I get that they're easing Taylor in, but they pay him this contract. What are your thoughts here? You know, is this relationship mendable, or is he going to continue to seek a trade after the season? I thought that the way this whole thing played out was really weird.
I don't think they would have signed with a contract if they planned on moving him, because I think the contract makes him harder to move, is really my kind of take on it. I will say I didn't have the panic button out for Jonathan Taylor after he got the contract. I don't have my hand on it or anything, but I got it like in my back pocket because of next week, Zach Moss outtouches him again. My issue with, if it was like a David Montgomery Gibbs thing, where like Gibbs is clearly the better talent, but they're easing him in. Like you can see it, like the other guy's just been reliable and doing well for you, so you roll with it. Okay. But Zach Moss had like 160-yard day. Like he's looked really good. And so even when the contract kind of came at the time, I was like, that's interesting. Like Zach Moss just popped off yesterday, and now you're handing Jonathan Taylor the money. I would assume that's intent to use him, but I'm telling you, man, if the next 2 weeks is this 50-50, like running back by committee split, I'm really upset in the Dynasty League and like 2 other of my 4 leagues, because I have them on almost every one of my teams. Like I was really confident that him coming back on a bounce back year and a new offense would go nuts, but Zach Moss is it's a fork in the road.
Yeah.
All I can really say.
Here's what here's what I think happened. This is pure speculation. I don't have any inside source into the Colts locker room at all or anything, but I think that Jonathan Taylor's camp, him and his agents and whoever else is in his camp, saw Zach Moss popping off. And his agent said, dude, that's James Conner, and that's Austin Eckler, and it's Le'Veon Bell, and it's Melvin Gordon, and you're next, right?
Yeah.
Goes for 180 yards. He's lighting it up. The offense looks great. The Colts are overperforming. They said, they went to the Colts and said, we'll take less money, but we want like X amount of years. Still going to be paid handsomely, but like we're not looking to. Is he the highest paid running back of all time? I can't. In the league, I can't
it's
remember.
Still very like
it's a large contract, but it's not what he was asking for. I think that motivated him in some sense of the way to back off on whether it was fully guaranteed or et cetera. I'd have to read into the contract details. So if I'm misinformed, let me know. But that would be my guess. From the Colts perspective, I don't really get, like you said, if you've got a guy who's doing well, why pay a guy $50 million? So not gonna ease him in. I get that, but what more can you get from Taylor that Moss wasn't giving? Like 180 yards in a game, and I get that that's not consistent. And Taylor was great as a rookie. but he really
Yeah.
he wasn't great as a sophomore, and here we are as a third year. I don't know. We'll see if he continues to get usage, but I think that's why the re-signing happened. Is Taylor kind of looked around and said, "Okay, if I sit out this whole year, I'm hurting the running backs need to get paid narrative
Yeah.
because he is. That's exactly why running backs don't get paid. Is we find guys off the streets who come in and are
It's
just
do the
as good
same
and
thing. Yeah.
completely serviceable, and that's why linemen get paid more and etc. But I I am a little confused, and I get that game script was a part of this. 15 rushes between the two of them. Like, what are you going to do when you're down the
Right.
whole game?
Next
Zach
week will be
Moss is probably the better receiving threat, anyways. So, um, we'll see. Let's get them in a game that's close, and let's get them in a game where the script goes according to plan, and then we'll start to see uh, the true intention here.
definitely. Yeah.
Final game I wanted to talk about. This was the headline you were referring to in terms of 10 years ago. If you'd have told me that the New England Patriots,
Rock.
in my opinion, have hit rock bottom. Can't remember if I pressed the panic button last week or not on the Patriots. I don't know if we talked about them, but I have. I mean, if I pressed it last week with my right hand, I am now pressing it with the left hand as well, and multiply. Really just trying to
Yeah.
bring that thing back to
It's
life like
over.
a CPR.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? This was just another, to lose to McDaniels, and
They're done. They're done. Yeah, I'm calling it now. Like, stop the match, get him out of here, rebuild for next season. Just the way they've looked eye test wise, especially, but when Belichick is losing to Josh McDaniels, a guy that's been in that organization, you should know Belichick. I mean, I expected him to shut the team out. Like, I was fully expecting him to know where the ball was going before Jimmy G did.
Not to mention Jimmy G didn't even finish the game.
Yeah, like, it was not a amazing performance by the Raiders. It was just like, okay, like, Patriots are cooked. Like, I don't know. Belichick, maybe it's his last year because he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, he's old. Like, he's been an amazing coach, but I think he's like approaching 70, or it's like might be in his 70s, man. Like,
Oh, he's in his 70s for sure. I think he's in his late 70s, honestly.
right? Like, he needs to. You can go home, watch old Brady highlights, and I'm not saying he can't coach, but it's
71.
like,
He's 71.
don't. Yeah, dude, don't be coaching this team. Let the Patriots and Robert Kraft kind of rebuild and tool up. This is not a contender. I mean, unless something drastic changes for the next couple of years out. I don't see anything on this roster personally that is super promising. I'm not like Mac Jones is the worst guy in the world, but I'd love to hear your insight of like what as a Patriots fan, what are you happy with? Like, when you look at your team, what are you like? That's my player. Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, and he hasn't had a good year. This is one of his better games just because he scored a touchdown.
Yeah,
fantasy
like 40 yards, right?
10 for 46 and a touchdown for Ramondre Stevenson. So I'd love to sit here and scream about Mac Jones being the problem.
It's like everything.
I could, and I could make a very compelling case why. But I just I just pull up the box score and I see receiving Kendrick Bourne, Mike Gesicki, Ramondre Stevenson. Who's P. Brown? I don't even know who that is.
That's like Pops Brown or something.
Zeke, Ty Montgomery, Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, Tyquan Thornton. Like, those are the guys who all caught a ball. Come on, man.
Wow.
Like, we can sit here and say Brady got it done with less back in the first three-peat. I don't know. Troy Brown, better. What's Deion Branch? Probably better.
Better, yeah.
Anybody on this? And don't get me started on, then he had good receivers. After that first three-peat, first off, that defense was like top 5 every year.
Yeah, literally
of
top 5
of the first three, Super Bowls. with the Brewski and Willie McGinnis, those teams, whatever those, and Rodney Harrison and Ty Law, those teams, those defenses were legit. Their offense was better. Brady led. They had a better run game. They had a better pass game. Better everything. Mac Jones is not Tom Brady. Okay, so let's just establish that. But I'm just attacking the concept of like having C to B tier quarterback come in and just run your system and get it done. This ain't high school football, man. Like this ain't college football. Systems will elevate a defense for sure, and they have for the Patriots. I've said that many times. Great systems, great coaches can elevate a defensive unit to play better than the personnel. That's not how it works on offense. Not in today's world. Maybe in 2003, not in 2023 though.
Not anymore. Yeah.
And so I'm out on Mac Jones. I say all that to say I'm out on Mac Jones. I think they just need a full reset. Could Mac Jones be a successful starter somewhere else? Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's a horrible quarterback. I think he's worthy of an NFL starting job at this point in his career. But not in New England, not with Belichick, not with, I don't even remember who their OC is this year. It's been new. Is it still Matt Patricia? Did he get
it might be Bill O'Brien. I think they thought that was a good idea and tried out Bill O'Brien again.
I don't know.
I don't even know what to say at that. Like when the hire was made, it's like you just gotta. You're old school, all right. Bill Belichick is officially old when you're going back and grabbing Bill O'Brien from Penn State or Alabama, wherever college he was at. But
I don't know. I you said it best. The Patriots are cooked.
It's over.
If I'm Robert Kraft, let me ask you this: if you're Robert Kraft, do you fire him?
I think I'm asking Belichick, like just having a man-to-man conversation, being like, are you prepared to essentially like retire trying to rebuild this team? Because it's going to be a while. Like realistically, even if they get a great pick this year, they can address like one, maybe two positions, but Belichick's draft history is not good either.
Yeah.
Like, especially as of late. So I would have to, if I'm Robert Kraft, you kind of got to cut bait and try and rebrand as just a new Patriots, like just a new way. But they're probably gonna be back for a while.
maybe it's something as simple as like changing the uniforms or
right.
Like I don't know because the team does live in the shadow of the Brady era, and it is something where it's like if you want to start a new beginning and get back to that success, like you might have to do something like that.
Right.
Marketing wise, and just try to convince your young players and start to build a young team. I don't know. I really don't know because you can't fire him. I don't think you can fire him.
No,
unless his wife comes to you and says, "Please fire him so he'll retire," because he's 77 and I know he won't quit himself. But
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he'll shock us all and he'll just walk away. But I'd be shocked. He loves it too much,
Right.
And what's stupid about it is I still don't rule them out for being around 500 at the end of the year just because they've managed to do that. 1-5, they're out of the playoffs. Mac Jones ain't it.
No
further comments.
Yeah, like it's done. Patriots
what are your thoughts on the Raiders now? That's back-to-back wins for them. They're sitting at 3-3. They've beaten Patriots are pretty bad. Packers are middle tier, power ranking team. I'm still out on this being one of the worst teams.
Yeah, man. All I'm hearing is just bait.
But their schedule moving forward is Bears, Lions. So let's say they get to 4-4, split those games. Giants, Jets, Dolphins, Chiefs, probably split those. Win 2, lose 2. Vikings they could beat. Chargers they could maybe beat. Chiefs they'll lose again. Colts they could maybe beat, and then Broncos. And we're looking at a record above 500.
Maybe. They're probably
I'm just saying.
It's going to be a classic Raiders performance. And what's going to be really funny is if they manage to win enough games for McDaniels to keep his job. Like the Raiders are going to talk themselves into it. They're going to be like, well, one more year at this rate, we might make playoffs. And they're not going to make playoffs next year. I guarantee it.
No.
It's just the schedule this year.
I am forgetting that they don't have Garoppolo. I'm assuming they won't have him next week. And, if you've got a
We'll
bad
see what
defense,
Aiden O'Connell does. Yeah.
if you've got a bottom 2 defense, which they're close to that number, Justin Fields is good for 400 yards against you and nobody else. So although Fields may not play.
I'll say he may not play either. It's gonna that game's gonna be a crapshoot.
Yeah.
But
Front page of the Chicago Suns Times today was the title was like a new era for the Bears, and it was a picture of Nugent, and like it was like praising him. And I was like, dude, he was horrible. Like he was horrible.
Tyson Bagent, wow.
And I know he's not here, man, but dude, this was a bad look for the Vikings. I know Jake's not here, but they got the win. But man, it beat the Bears when they played bad. Like, not a good look, man.
No, yeah, both these teams are just underwhelming to say the least this season.
All right, we can move on. Let's do a little. Let's make some acquisitions. I've hinted at some things. Review our positions. I do have some questions for you regarding some of your takes. Jake's not here. I have some for him, but before we dive into our new acquisitions, I would like some explanation as to why you are continuing to hold Russell Wilson stock.
I'm giving it to like week 8 or 9 because I need a game to sell it. Okay.
Okay.
I knew this was going to come up, so I literally had a deadline in mind because I know it's bad. All right, it's looking bad. I don't really know how much money I've lost, but I need him to do something so I can turn it into something.
I think your chance to sell was like week 4.
Maybe it was probably when I bought it. It was literally probably the day I bought it and was convinced that he might be all right.
There was like a couple weeks at the start of the year where it was like, and then this Thursday night game, man, that's wow.
He's terrible on Thursday night, though. That's why I'm giving this 2 to 3 weeks max. Because last year, the same thing happened. He played the Colts and put up 3 points. It was like he's not built for it. But if the Raiders can find ways to win, I would hope he can find at least a way to find some decent performances. That's all I'm asking. I'm not even asking his team to win the game. Stat pad, please do something. Turn into the basketball version of Ross. I need some value here, and I will hold until then. But I will acknowledge it's been a swing and a miss so far.
So, and Jake's not here for this too because this was his take. But are we considering selling Jefferson and Tyreek Hill both going over 2,000 yards this year?
I think and he could probably back me on, and maybe we just leave it to the chat or whatever. But for one of them to hit, like, that's got to be worth something. Because Tyreek Hill is literally like 180 yards away right now from 1,000 yards receiving. Like, he's on pace for almost 2,500 yards. So, like, for him to eclipse it, Jefferson, like, to kind of be on pace for get hurt is kind of like you call it a wash. Like, it wasn't a guy won the take. Like, yeah, technically it was a miss.
I could if Hill gets there convincingly, and Jefferson comes back and gets to like 1,300 on the back half of the year. I could be convinced to rule that as a break even. I could be convinced. I really
dude, I think that's a cash if he gets if Jefferson comes back and goes over 1,000 like handily, and Tyreek is over 2,000 handily, you could infer that Jefferson missing those, how many games he's gonna miss. Like,
I don't know though, because the Vikings are not good.
But the Kirk and Jefferson duo is the only thing that made them respectable. That's why I think they're going to. It sucks. I think I said they might sneak into the playoffs, and that
was a follow-up question.
I know it's overreaction Monday, but if they don't adjust their game plan to more of like a dink and dunk, they might need to find another back. They got Cam Akers, but they got to involve a running game more. You don't have Jefferson to lean on anymore. That's bottom line. I don't think KJ Osborne's terrible as a fill-in, but he's no Justin Jefferson. and they just got to adapt, man. They're gonna have to go to more like a West Coast style, and just kind of dink it dunk. Kirk's got to be really efficient, but it's an upward battle. That's all I'm gonna say. NFC's kind of getting crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like two maybe kind of top teams, and everything else is just out in the open right now.
Final question. Purchased 1 week ago today. Gardner Minshew will be a starter on opening day, 2024.
I'll keep that. Yeah, he had a bad game.
Holding diamond hands. I like it. I like the
patience. Yeah, I'm not panicking yet.
All
Russ right. is I've had that for a couple weeks. It's getting worse.
You've been sitting on Russ for almost a month.
Yeah, I'm sweating.
It's been a bad month. It's been a bad month of football for Russ, man.
It has, to say the least. Yeah.
Looking at my stuff, I'm actually not hating most of my takes. Derek Carr to make the playoffs twice in New Orleans is definitely probably my lowest confidence, but I purchased it at a 1 on day 1. So it's not horrible. It's not that big of a loss, I guess. I didn't put that much stock into it. Other than that, I'm holding Anthony Richardson. I'm holding Jordan Love, Mike McDaniel, Lawrence Ridley duo. Little sketch. Maybe should have just bought Trevor Lawrence. Maybe should have just bought Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's still going up, like since you bought it.
I think it's kind of choppy, a little bit choppy. Okay. Up on the 100-game weeks, 100-yard weeks for Ridley, and then
last week was there.
Sam Howell priced at a discount because he was at rock bottom when I got there. He's had 2 back-to-back decent weeks. Actually, I'm pretty confident in that.
Bears, was that?
I bought it before that. Game. He threw for like 400 yards in that game. He threw. Are you saying that was a bad game?
Didn't he have turnovers? Like he got sacked like 5 or 6 times. Like
sacks aren't on him, bro. Just saying. Man. Anytime a guy throws.
That's Russ's problem this year.
Russ has a multitude of problems.
Holding the ball too long.
Buying Russ stock is inherently worse than buying Sam Howell stock because Russ has context and a large contract that hurts his like overall image.
I'm not saying Sam Howell, I don't know if Sam Howell's been like great I think he's been like.
Well, I think he's been mid. I purchased that stock September 25th. Okay, it's both the Commanders' schedule. Since September 25th, the Sam Howell's last few weeks, win against the Falcons this week, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, but I thought was a solid win. We all picked the Falcons, by the way. So
Ritter
lost to the Bears. Defense sold in that game. Sam Howell in that game on Thursday night, 388, 2 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Threw the ball 51 times, so it goes with our theory of go over 50, expect a pick. Over 50 pass attempts, expect a pick, and don't be mad about it. Lost by 3 to the Eagles the week after I bought this, and then the week when I bought it was the day after they lost to the Bills 37-3. So 3 decent performances, priced at an extreme discount. I said back then, looking to trade this in season. Right? This isn't a long-term purchase. They've got the Giants coming up this week. I'm not selling before that matchup.
That's very true. Very true.
Their next couple games, Eagles might need to hold through that because after that it's Patriots, Seahawks, Giants again, and that's probably when I'm going to look to sell mid-November because they close out their season with Cowboys, Dolphins, Rams, Jets, Niners, Cowboys. So probably looking to sell after the second Giants game. If anybody's looking out there to purchase some Sam Howell stock around that time, hit me up. But let's move into today. Our new purchase is continuing to build our portfolio. Once we get it maxed out, these transactions will become a little bit more meaningful. There'll be more structure to the show. There'll be a lot more transactions happening in terms of sales and purchases and trades even. But I don't have a lot of confidence. I didn't have a lot of things to buy today. I'll give you the floor. I will preemptively say I've got one thing I'm tentative towards buying and an open slot. If you can convince me in something that you're confident in. So I'm looking to be social today.
Yeah, today is like, for me, the week itself was just nothing I really expected to go right happened. And so I'm going with a more of a passive purchase, but it's going on the Vikings in the sense that Madison has like literally done nothing, and Cam Akers can only improve from like his one carry. So I'm putting a two, we'll go 1.5 confidence in Cam Akers. Two seems close. I need to be right in the middle of three. Just because I'm not even really the biggest fan of Cam Akers right now. It's just I think the Vikings are need to try some things to be relevant.
I don't
And
hate
so
that. I
yeah,
don't hate that. When they made that trade, I liked that trade. And now we're kind of 2-3 weeks where it's like,
yeah, nobody's
hey,
talking
he
about
probably knows the system now. We're gonna get into the stage of like we're gonna start using it. You know what
it.
I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate
I hope
that.
so.
I'm gonna piggyback off of a take you had last week or 2 weeks ago.
Mm,
Sorry,
okay.
which was paired. You actually purchased at a horrible time. You bought Kyle Pitts, priced at a discount, assuming Desmond Ritter would be benched, and that's
I
like
mean,
that's written
I
down.
think I
And
still
then
have it
Ritter,
stocked though.
you still have it, but you bought it at a bad time because Ritter came out the next week and had just a perfect game. Kyle Pitts has actually had some decent games back to back now, but I'm gonna purchase because Ritter. I'm just kind of out on him. I don't think he's it. I'm purchasing some Taylor Heineke. Some Taylor
Stock.
Heineke stock. I'm gonna throw 1.5, kind of right 1.75. We'll say a little bit of a nod, but I think he's gonna get some time and he's gonna win games because here's the thing with the Falcons is they were better with Mariota. They were, and like it's the same team. They've got a better running back now, and I just think that Ritter is just like they should be winning games that last year they would have won with Mariota that they're not winning with Ritter this year. And we all know Taylor
Sure.
Heineke's he's this anomaly of winning that is awesome, and who's not a fan, man. So Taylor Heineke just purchasing the stock now. Price is extremely low. Hasn't taken a snap all year. I think it's coming. I think it's going to be good. It's going to be some mania. Might make a playoff push. So Taylor Heineke, 1.75 confidence. Purchase today.
Okay. Okay. Well done. Well done. I can't argue with that. I saw the Pitts vision.
No, that was a great
I
purchase. That's up big right now, if you ask me. He's had
yeah.
two of his
I,
better
I
games.
hope it's the one touchdown isn't the only touchdown because I could very well see that too. But oh, definitely.
Floor's yours.
Oh, how many picks we got?
We get two acquisitions today.
Two acquisitions there.
Or you could refrain, I guess. You could say I will forego my purchase. There's nothing out there that's
Yeah, no,
enticing.
I just don't think in terms of like players, I was really confident in anything. I think I'm confident in I it's more like a long term stock that I was kind of saving, but I'll throw it to the floor. Is just Nick Sirianni becoming a like I'm saying, and this is I don't know. I mean, we'll try and track it, but like 10-year tenure with Philly. Like I'm thinking like an Andy Reid esque run where he's not gonna be able to do a lot of wrong considering how weird and up and down Philly has been since Andy Reid. Um, and I know his stock is probably lower coming off the Jalen Hurts game and just kind
Yeah,
of
but
what happened this past week. It's still really high.
yeah.
But I mean, I think the take of hey, staying around on a team for 10 years, it's kind of rare that we see that nowadays. And so I'll throw a confidence in that. I'm not gonna say a three because it's Philly. I can see him. I mean, they ran Doug Peterson out of there, and he's still a very good coach. I mean, he won a Super Bowl for him
Yeah,
not that
he
long
was
ago.
gone into you. That almost makes me. You reminded me that I might short that stock. I'm not even gonna lie. just because Philly, like they fired him. I'm
I
gonna
know
think
they
about
do.
that. I might hold that idea for another week. Um, I've got kind of a hail mary. I like the Nick Sirianni. I think that
Yeah,
duty's
he knows
what
what
in
he's
the
doing.
regular what's his record in the regular season? It's ridiculous. Um,
Mhm.
Hail Mary stock. All right. Hail Mary, point 0.5 confidence, nothing to lose, throwing it out there. It's a lottery ticket. Nothing crazy, no specific stats or anything. just purchasing 0.5 stock right now in Zach Wilson. That's it.
That's fair.
That's
kind
it.
of a bad time to buy, considering like he's
It is,
high as value
but
better than, but
the high, it's the
25 are.
I think it's real though. I think it's real. I think that's why I'm saying that they make the playoffs with him or something. That's a big winner in my opinion. From 3-3, even from where they're at right now, 3 great back-to-back weeks for his standard. I think he's going to continue to get better and better. And it's a Hail Mary stock. 0.5 confidence. What do I have to lose, right? You're not gonna show up on the offseason, look at my holdings and say, oh, what is this Zach Wilson stock? You idiot, that was a horrible take. No, because I said today, it's a Hail Mary. We're here for a big winner. Couldn't find anything I was really serious about buying today. So Zach Wilson,
yeah,
it is what it is.
man.
I'm buying him. That takes us to week 7 predictions. We got an interesting slate coming up. We had a weird week this week. Now we got a lot of buys this week. There's only 13 games this week. And I double checked that to see if it was right, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But 13 games this week, and I might actually triple check that because it still doesn't seem right. That's the lowest I've seen. But Thursday night, Jaguars in New Orleans against the Saints. I'm picking them to win 4th straight. They've been rolling. How about you?
Oh yeah, Saints didn't look good even against the Texans, so it's really hard to pick them right now. I'll stick with the Jags as well.
All right. That takes us to Falcons going into Tampa Bay. I'm going to roll with Tampa at home. Falcons are just kind of hit or miss in Tampa. Coming off a bad week, I think they're better than they showed this week.
I'll keep rolling with the Falcons. Yeah, not great what happened last week, but I got a lot of faith in Arthur Smith. We're going to stick true to that.
Raiders in Chicago, 2 injured quarterbacks possibly. I've never seen a game where both teams are on my no-pick list.
I know.
So I'm forced to make a decision. If Chicago doesn't have Justin Fields, man, and I'll even say this, I'll allow he flipped the coin. He flipped the
coin. Bears it is.
Bears it is. All right, I'm taking the Raiders then, just to make it interesting. I had the Raiders written down, but I was about to say if Fields plays, I'll take the Bears. But if you're going to take the Bears, I'll take the Raiders.
I had no idea how to analyze that game. I'm just going to be honest. Oh, jeez. Wow.
Browns at Colts. We're just going to move on. Browns in Indianapolis. I got to roll Browns, especially even if Deshaun doesn't play. The defense was so good against one of the better offenses in the league to then play a backup quarterback. Like, man.
Yeah. I'm going to go with my Colts. I'm going to go with the Minshew stock. If the time is now, it's to make a statement against one of the better defenses. Maybe come on the no-pick list soon.
Well, it took me a long time to put them on my no-pick list after I picked them to be in the Super Bowl. So, speaking of Super Bowl picks, Commanders going into the Giants next week. Divisional matchup. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the G-men after a solid defensive performance against the Bills last night.
They did have really. Yeah.
Tyrod actually was not bad. That's my man. Madden 17, NFL Blitz, had a great 89 overall card. Some memories there, but I think the G-men. Barkley's back. He looked good. He struggled in the first half, loosened up, came out, hit some big hitters in the second half. And the reality is, they should have got another pass interference call and probably could have won that game because they got down to the 1-yard line. Bills did everything they could to lose that game and still came out with a win. Giants beat the Commanders next week.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick, especially if Tyrod's playing. I feel dumb almost picking against him, but I'll roll with the Commanders. Like we've really talked about the same Miles. He's not going to lose in the game the way he's been playing. I'll roll with the Commies, man.
All right. I was close on that one, and I talked myself into backing the Super Bowl pick once again. So knowing that they'll get beat by 4 scores. But Lions going into Baltimore. Who do you got?
Lions, their defense is, whether it's overperforming or not, has been a lot better than I thought it was going to be this season. I get the Ravens are good too, but the Lions might establish themselves here. I mean, they're gonna be like 5-1, 6-1 at this point. Like they're getting to a really good spot here. So
I'm going to
Detroit
take
all
the
day.
Ravens. I think I'm going to take the Ravens.
Yeah.
It's in Baltimore, and it's a Lions team that historically under Dan Campbell is not that great on the road. I'm pretty sure there's some stat they're either really good on the road or really bad. But so I'm not going to base my argument off that. But I'm just going to say going into the Ravens, this is a true contender in my opinion. The only true contender they've really played this year was the Chiefs, who they did beat, but it was week 1 without Travis Kelce or Chris Jones. I think the Ravens kind of own the time of possession in this game, and the defense shows up for the Ravens. So I'm going to roll with the Ravens. Bills at Patriots, didn't think twice. Patriots
Nope.
I will say the Patriots are now on the no-pick list.
Yeah, they usually steal one from the Bills every year, but it's probably not going to be this year.
Cardinals at Seahawks. I'm taking Seattle at home against Josh Dobbs. I'd love to take the Cardinals. They're better than I expected they would be, but it's not there for me.
I'm hitting the panic button in Seattle if they don't win at home against a division opponent. They need to win here.
Yeah, especially after last week with the red zone offense against the Bengals, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, but I feel like we talked about the Bengals too much. So Steelers at Rams. This is an interesting one, dude. This is an interesting one.
It's interesting. I'm gonna go with the Steelers just because it probably has me battle like head coaches, and I could see TJ Watt getting home more than like the Steel. It just seems more reliable pick. I'm not feeling the. I know the Rams good this year. I would not be shocked if they win this game by 2 scores. Steelers don't get enough pressure on Stafford, but it just feels like Steelers win. Man, they always find a way to stay, at 500 or above.
Yeah, I mean Steelers coming off the bye as well is an advantage. The Rams, I'm tempted to take them, but it's also just like very inconsistent with them this year. The Steelers defense has been that good that I'm going to ride with the Steelers as well.
Feels
Chargers right. Chargers going into Arrowhead. The Chiefs, I just don't pick against them. I don't care. Like I just don't. I'm going to win 14 games this year off of picking the Chiefs every time. I'm just going to take the 3 losses when it happens. I'm not going to try and predict it.
Yeah. I wish I could see the Chargers play this week. I hate that they play tonight. I'll pick the Chiefs, but I'm not shocked if the Chargers win because Chiefs
you do reserve the right to change your pick for Monday night teams. We did.
Yeah, if the Chargers look really good tonight, that could be one I actually change. I usually don't do that, but I'm seeing things I like from the Chargers, and the Chiefs have not just been impressive in my mind.
Packers at Broncos. Broncos on the no-pick list. You pick the Packers every week anyways. So
yeah,
I'm taking the Packers. Then on record.
Nice.
Sunday Night Football. We've had some great on-paper matchups for Sunday Night Football this year, and not a lot have panned out. Last week was actually a decent game, Bills-Giants, but Dolphins going into Philadelphia. This one I'm excited for. I am excited to watch this game,
man. Rip Riders cooking. I'm going to take the Dolphins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know in Philly, and Philly losing twice is going to make the world meltdown, but Philly lost their defensive coordinator, and that Chiefs team gave them a lot of problems in the Super Bowl with motion and whatnot, with like Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are a different animal, and Raheem Mostert. I'll really just give credit to Mike McDaniel because the running offense as a whole, I believe, is top 5. And with a running back room of Mostert, Devon Achane, who's hurt right now, and Jeff Wilson, like 2 of those guys were cast-offs from the Niners. They were just scraps that weren't McCaffrey or Elijah Mitchell. And, it's like, oh, well, they're fast. See if they work in the offense. And they really do. So I'm rolling with the Dolphins, man.
I'm going to take the Eagles.
Yeah, safe
Especially,
pick
yeah, well,
at
especially because
home
they're
and
coming off of a loss too. That's that off of a loss they shouldn't have. If they had beaten the Jets and they'd been close, I'd say, oh, maybe the Dolphins could. Here's why I think the Eagles are going to win. The Dolphins run a lot of man coverage, one of the highest rates of man coverage in the league. They've got the receivers to just torch man coverage. They're going to win one-on-one matchups all day with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. And what's great, also great against man coverage, QB run. They got Jalen Hurts, who's a great runner, and just the run in general is solid against man coverage. Depending on if you're beating them with the pass, it pairs well if they're staying in, because you're turning people's heads and whatnot. The Eagles have the offense to keep the better than anybody in the league, maybe the Niners, better than anybody in the league to keep Tua and Tyreek and everybody off the field because they're just going to dominate time of possession, run it down the throats, do what they do. Coming off of the loss, they're going to be ticked. It's going to be a home prime time game. I just find it really hard to pick against them with the way that they're going to be able to control the ball in this game. And it's not like their offense matches up poorly against the Dolphins defense. I like what you had to say about the Dolphins offense and their matchup. I think they're going to be good. They're always good. But I think that just the Eagles have the ball more, and that's going to be the deciding factor.
No, hey, no issue with that. It's going to be a great game, that's for sure.
Monday night, Niners in Minnesota against the Vikings. I know Jake was in the group chat making a case. No CMC, no Debo. But the Vikings defense ain't the Browns, bro.
No, it's hard for me to pick against the Niners right now.
The Vikings are bored, and I know he's going to get so mad at me for saying this. The Vikings without Justin Jefferson are borderline no pick list. I picked them because they played the Bears, but man, they're pretty far down there. And that's it. Those are our picks. We forgot to recap week 6, but right now going into Monday night, I'm 10-4. Jake's 10-4. You're 8-6. I've got Cowboys tonight. Everybody else has got Chargers, so I could take the advantage all time. I could take the advantage on the week, and then for our season, I'm up by 5 right now.
Yeah. I've been getting a little reckless with the picks, but I'm not going to back down. Got to keep rolling with it. Eventually, they're start hitting.
I'm up by 5 on the season, and then obviously one of those losses. There's an extra loss on there until Monday night happens because when I fling the thing over on the spreadsheet, I have to do that. But final segment, couple minutes. Who's in your final 4 before we close out the episode? Final 4. Who are your AFC and NFC, AFC and NFC championship games?
This is probably gonna shock no one, but it's like far and away Niners and Philly for me right now in the NFC. I really am confident, like no bias. I love to see the Packers Jets as my Super Bowl picks make it, but it's mostly not gonna happen. The Chiefs Niners rematch is something I've been thinking about. Even when I get concerned with the Chiefs, it's like they always find a way in the playoffs to. It's usually tight contests anyway. If they're only scoring 20, 23 points throughout the regular season, their defense is a lot better than people give credit for. They just are a team that knows how to win. So I would have to say a 49ers Chiefs rematch wouldn't shock me. But I think what might shock people is I think the 49ers will get it done this time. I don't think they fold to the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs go back to back. This roster is not screaming back to back to me, but I could see them still getting there just with the amount of just uncertainty going on. Definitely in the NFC, but AFC wise as well. Like the North is crazy right now. I don't know who's coming out of there. South, you got the Jags, but what are your thoughts?
I've got Eagles, Niners, NFC Championship. I don't know who wins. I really don't. Depends on where it is. A lot of other factors, injuries, whatnot. So rematch in the NFC Championship. The AFC, I've got Chiefs and Dolphins written down.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Dolphins, I love, yeah.
I've got Chiefs and Dolphins written down, but my preseason Super Bowl was, Bengals, and they are what 2-3, 3-3 now, or do they have their bye week? I can't remember. They're not.
Hey man, you're talking to yourself and Bengals fans about this. I'm not endorsing.
I'm not endorsing that Final Four right now. But what I'm saying is they're not. the concept of the pick is still alive in sense of they can suck for 8 weeks, turn it on, and win out like they do almost every year. So it's still a lot, like their playoff hopes are hanging on, but they're still there, back to back wins. They look better than they did. But the team that I think actually, I have the Chiefs written down, and I really think the Bills might beat the playoffs this year.
It might finally be the year where Manning got over Brady. Like eventually, Josh Allen's got to beat Mahomes.
Yeah,
I better, but
I think I could see. I really do. The Bills are catching their stride, and the Chiefs. I'm just not bought in. I'm just not. They don't look like the Chiefs. They're winning games, which is like the Chiefs, but they're not doing it the same way. And you know what? Maybe it's ironic because I think it actually is hypocritical because the way they're winning games is running football and playing good defense, and that's what I say always wins in playoffs. But that's not the Chiefs' identity, and when teams get away from their identity, unless they're all-time greats and all-time great dynasties, which you can make the case, and this would certainly prove that they are, they don't win consistently in playoffs when teams are away from their identity. So I just think the receiving room is really holding back. Yeah, I've got Chiefs Dolphins written down, but I'm going to change it and go Bills Dolphins Final Four. Talk myself into that live on show.
Nice. Love to see it.
Dolphins, they're just hot. They're a hot team, and we didn't get to see them healthy last year in the playoffs with Tua and whatnot. So I'm excited to see that. And the McDaniel Super Bowl Coach of the Year stock could make millions on that thing. But that concludes our episode. Any final thoughts? Monday Night Football, Cowboys, Chargers. You've got the Chargers tonight. I'm the only one who had the guts to take the Cowboys off their big loss. So, any final thoughts before tonight's game or next week?
Oh no, I just kind of hope the Cowboys do another last week. Oh, SpongeBob, want to see me do it again? Like I hope Cowboys just do that. Chargers pick me only a game behind you this week, and yeah, man, that Cowboys are such an anomaly because on paper in some weeks they look like one of the best teams you've seen in your life. And then somehow, some way, they mess it up. They just find a way. So it'll be entertaining Monday night. That's for sure.
Yeah. As always, thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on TikTok, check us out on Twitter and YouTube, and share your friends. Send in ideas, takes, purchases, sales we should make. And as always, we'll be back next Monday doing our thing. And thanks again for listening, guys.
Take care.